Alrighty, what is going on, Pats Nation? You guys already know who it is. Patriots Global here back with another video. And in this one, we are unfortunately going to be talking about the Lamar Jackson situation. Now, originally, I didn't want to talk about this, a few days ago, a couple of weeks ago. There's been a lot of traction about Lamar Jackson to the Patriots. And that's before what happened at the league meetings, which is essentially why I'm making this video. We're going to get into all that. But because of everything that's been circulating about Lamar and the Patriots, I just feel like it's kind of my duty to step on here and kind of give my 2 cents about what's happening. Do I think it's logical? Do I think it's not logical? And kind of put some of my thoughts behind everything that we're hearing. But before we do get into today's video, if you guys are not a Patreon member yet, become a Patreon member. You guys can get plenty of benefits for only $10 a month. This is one of the best ways to support the channel. And again, it's only $10 a month and you can cancel at any time. And the best part of this is not only are you supporting the channel, but you're getting more benefits back from me, including some exclusive content, but mainly you're able to be put into a Discord chat with me and other Patriots fans who are Patreon members. We talk about everything involving the Patriots, every little thing, whether it's big, small, rumors. We even talk about the rest of the NFL and other moves that are going around. We got some inside information from one of my boys, Tom, who's a Patreon member, so big shout out to him. So a lot of great stuff happening within that chat, not to mention when I do go live, if you're a Patreon member, in a good portion of my live streams, you guys are able to come on and share your opinion on some of these rumors and kind of just thoughts about the Patriots. And of course, we also will have the draft day live stream for round one, our watch party that we're going to be doing for our 3rd year in a row that you guys really like. If you're a Patreon member, you can actually come on and join that. But without further ado, let's hop into today's video. If you're interested in being a Patreon member, link is always that first link in the description box below. Let me tell you, man, Lamar Jackson has has really divided this fan base in half. You either love Lamar and you hate Mac Jones, or you don't want Lamar and you love Mac Jones. There's really no in between. The only in between that might be there is those who still are on the Zappy train. So maybe there's like 3 different diagonals that Pats Nation is heading towards right now. But again, league meetings were today. Always some very interesting comments that come out of these league meetings, especially because that's when the owners talk and everything. And when we actually finally get to hear Robert Kraft talk a little bit about his feelings and his thoughts towards the Patriots. But per Robert Kraft, this is not a report from anyone. This is per Robert Kraft himself. He said that Meek Mill, Meek Mill, the rapper, actually texted him 3 or 4 days ago. So this was actually before the league meetings. But 3 or 4 days ago saying that Lamar Jackson wants to be a Patriot. And Robert Kraft ultimately said that that is Bill Belichick's decision. Now, why Lamar Jackson would text Meek Mill saying he wants to be a Patriot, I'm not 100% sure, but what I will say is that Lamar Jackson, when he originally entered the league and was in the whole draft process a few years ago, I believe that was 2019, if I remember correctly, 2018 maybe, Lamar Jackson had interest in joining the Patriots. The Patriots actually had an official meeting with him. Obviously, they do that with a lot of players. Doesn't mean they're going to draft them, but the Patriots had a level of interest in Lamar Jackson, and Jackson actually had a lot of interest in the Patriots. Obviously, New England was one of the several teams that did decide to pass on him before the Baltimore Ravens traded up to the final pick in the 1st round to select Lamar Jackson. Now, before everybody gets on the hype train, Robert Kraft is not necessarily saying, hey, I want Lamar Jackson, but it's on Bill. I'll accept it, but that's on Bill. I think people are looking into it too much. And with that being said, too, it's what was the severity of the discussion between Robert Kraft and the media? Was it a serious conversation, or was he joking around like, oh, haha, yeah, Meek Mill texted me a few days ago and was like, yeah, Lamar wants to be a Patriot. Like, was it very serious, or was it more of in a joking manner? That's one thing we have to keep in mind, but we don't exactly know. But, Robert Kraft in the league meetings, hinted on Mac Jones, and this is what he said. He said, I'm a big fan of Mac. I think that we experimented with some things last year that, frankly, didn't work when it came to him, in my opinion. I think we've made changes that put him in a good position to excel. So for those of you saying that, hey, it's on Belichick at this point, Kraft wants it, Kraft also openly is saying he likes Mac Jones. He knows that they did not put him in a position to succeed last year at all, and that this year they are trying to put him back in a position to succeed for 2023. So I have some notes here that I wrote down, that I do kind of want to touch upon here. Now, we know that Lamar did request a official trade from the Baltimore Ravens. He's not been happy with the Ravens for a while now. Why? Because of the contract. And I will say, look, if you don't know, Lamar Jackson is his own agent. He doesn't have another guy negotiating for him. It's all basically him and his mom. And that's something you rarely see. Lamar as a player, Lamar as a leader, great. Lamar as his own agent, not so great, especially because of the prices that he was at least offered. And that's what I want to talk about and why I just don't think this is realistic. But I, do want to touch upon the fact that it's official. He came out, he told Ravens Nation, hey, thank you guys for everything. You guys were the best fans, this, that, and the other, but I have officially requested a trade. Now, on March 8th, the Baltimore Ravens did try to extend him long-term, and ultimately, that's where that tag that was placed on him came from. He's on his 5th year option right now, so he has one more year under contract, which is, I think, low $30 million. So for what you're getting in Lamar is a pretty good deal for the Ravens, but after that, they have to sign him to a contract, or in 2024, a year from now, he's an unrestricted free agent and obviously would not look to ultimately re-sign with them. So the Ravens front office did try to get a extension done with him, and they offered him a massive contract. They offered him a much bigger contract than I think a lot of people realize. And, they're saying the Ravens messed up and the Ravens are disrespecting him, whatever, this, that, and the other. I'll let you guys decide on that based on the numbers. Now, obviously, it's not a done contract, so we don't have all of the terms of what was offered exactly, but we do know that the Ravens offered him a contract for more, underline the word, more than $40 million a year, and it had heavy guaranteed money applied to it. Unfortunately for Lamar, he wants basically a deal that is fully guaranteed. He wants to be paid as one of the best players in the NFL, somewhere between $40 to $50 million at least per year, and at least the majority of that he wants to be guaranteed. And the problem with that is that it's like, okay, if you play one game and then don't play the rest of the season, you constantly get injured and you don't play, you're still tied to that player. You still owe him all of the money that is guaranteed. It doesn't matter how many games he plays, how many interceptions he throws, how many touchdowns he gets. It doesn't matter how he plays because it's a fully guaranteed contract. No matter what, you're going to pay him that contract. And that's why Belichick and the Patriots don't give out guaranteed contracts. And that's something you're seeing this offseason is that, hey, we'll give you, a certain amount of money up to a certain point. That's a decent amount. But you, the player, has to work your way up there based off of how you play. So we're going to make it heavily incentive-based with a low base salary. Lamar would not be okay with that. Lamar will not accept that. That's the big issue that's going on with him and the Ravens, is that he's not getting the contract that he ultimately wants. Now, the offer that they gave him, which I just touched upon, would have made Lamar the second highest paid player in the NFL, and his guaranteed money would have been second highest in the NFL, only behind Deshaun Watson. And it seems like this is one of those things where Lamar says, well, I'm very similar to Deshaun. In fact, I'm better than Deshaun Watson. So because of that, I should be getting paid higher than Deshaun Watson. And this is an issue players have. It's, well, I'm better than this guy and he's getting more money. And because I feel like I'm better, I want to get paid higher. And that number just keeps going higher and higher and higher. And that's why we are at where we are right now with the wide receiver market. It's gotten so high because players just kept saying, well, I want more than the other guy because I'm better than the other guy. And I actually want to pull up the Deshaun Watson numbers here. Share my screen real quick to kind of just touch upon the numbers you're kind of looking at here for Deshaun Watson. All right. Hopefully you guys can see this. Let me take this off real quick. Okay, there we go. So with Deshaun Watson's numbers here, like you can see that for 2022 and 2023, those numbers aren't that bad for the Browns. But really every year after that, they're in cap hell essentially. And that's why I think, 2024 on, you're not going to see the Browns make a whole ton of moves. This upcoming season for Deshaun Watson, he only has a cap hit of about $19 million and only has a base salary of about $1 million with a dead cap hit if they decided to release him about $220 million. And no matter what, when you're signed with that big of a deal, that much of a luxurious deal, you look at the dead money for all of his years under contract, it'd be cap hell for the Browns. And that'd be the same situation it would be for the Patriots. But you look at 2024, that base salary is $46 million. He's going to have a cap hit of $63.9 million. In 2025, that cap hit's going to be 63.9 again, 63.9 again in 2026. You look at that base salary, and this is the least he's going to make. Base is the least amount you're going to make. He still can get more money based off of incentives and whatnot. But a base salary of $46 million throughout the rest of this contract. So essentially, that's at least $46 million that he has. And that cap hit, they have to keep in mind in case he does reach all those incentives, is up to $63.9 million. With those numbers, what do you think? Let me stop sharing the screen now. What do you think you're going to do? What other moves are you going to make? If you bring on Lamar Jackson and you sign him to this contract, what other moves are you going to make? Because again, it doesn't matter how he plays at this point because of how big of a deal and how much guaranteed money he wants. He's going to get that money either way. But now you're talking about not adding a wide receiver one. So anyone screaming for a wide receiver one, you can leave now because you are not signed, but you trade for Lamar Jackson. You're not getting that money. And if anyone says, yes, trade for Lamar and then get Jerry Jeudy, that's not happening either because you're giving up the absolute house for Lamar. Right now, you have to give up at least 2 first-round picks, at least. You're not getting Jerry Jeudy and you're not getting a number 1 guy unless you want to give up, a 3rd, 4th maybe for DeAndre Hopkins. But then you're taking on another $20 million contract and people don't understand cap space. Yes, you can maneuver it. You can restructure it. You can push it down to, a few years, but it's going to bite you in the butt sooner or later. We've seen it with the Saints, who over the last couple of years have been like negative $30 to $50 million per year. We saw it this year with the Bucs. You're seeing it with other teams now, like the Bills, who are constantly going downhill each year when it comes to cap space. We're seeing it now with the Rams, which is why they're where they are now. They won a Super Bowl, but now they're going to go back to being one of the worst teams in the entire National Football League. Do you want to sell the house to hopefully win a Super Bowl in a couple of years, but then be worse than you are now? The thing is that what Belichick's trying to build is he wants to be good for several years. He doesn't want to be good for 1 year and win a Super Bowl and be bad. He's trying to build for several years, including when he leaves. And that's the thing about the Patriots dynasty, for the last 2 decades, is that they were good for so long. That's what you want to build. You don't want to sell everything to where you win 1 Super Bowl and now you're down being one of the worst teams in the league for God knows how long. And that's what the Rams are doing right now. So yes, the Patriots can maneuver cap space more than they have now. But you're talking about drastically maneuvering cap space to bring along Lamar. Now, one thing about Lamar is that he doesn't necessarily fit what the Patriots are doing on offense. And I think a lot of people look at Lamar and they say, you know what? He's a generational talent. He's one of the top quarterbacks year in and year out. He was a former league MVP. If you bring in Lamar, you're a playoff team. And I can't argue with that. I can't. If we bring in Lamar, we're pretty much guaranteed a roster, or not a roster spot. We're guaranteed a playoff spot. But understand that Lamar has only also won 1 playoff game in his entire career with the Ravens. His numbers in the postseason are terrible. I don't know what it is, but he chokes. He chokes when the postseason happens. And you can't say, well, Mac Jones chokes. No, he doesn't. The entire team has looked bad. The one playoff game that they made it to since Mac Jones has been drafted. So you can't have that argument. There's real concern for Lamar Jackson once you reach the postseason. And you know what? It's great. It is great if you reach the postseason year in and year out. But if you don't win a postseason game, then congrats. You're the Cowboys, who everybody makes fun of. And is that what you want? No, I'd rather the Patriots stick with somebody like Mac or Zappe or whoever they decide to go with. My own opinion, it's Mac. And build around him and actually give him the opportunity to succeed than to go out and give a contract to make Lamar the highest paid NFL player, making the entire contract pretty much guaranteed and flushing yourself out from making the rest of your roster better. Does that sound like Belichick to you? Does that sound like Belichick to sell the house for Lamar Jackson and then give him a contract? Because keep in mind, if you trade for Lamar, not only are you giving up massive draft capital, but you have to sign him to a contract extension. That's the big thing here. Whoever Lamar goes to, they have to sign him to a contract extension. The massive contract that, again, he turned down from the Ravens. It has to be bigger than that contract. That's the issue here. And if you're telling me that Belichick would do that, rather than build around Mac Jones defensively, the offensive line, get him some weapons, and actually give him the opportunity to succeed, then I'm sorry, but you don't know the Patriots and you don't know the history of Bill Belichick. That's not going to happen. They've always stuck with a pocket passing quarterback, and I'm always open to them switching whatever they have to do to be successful. But this offensive system right now is not built around that. And I would like to see the Patriots and Bill Bryan come in and build an offense around Mac Jones. Mix an Alabama playing style that Mac Jones is used to, kind of dumb it down a little bit, make it more youthful, mixed in with what Bill O'Brien originally had here with the old Patriots offensive scheme. Mix those two together, marry those two together, run more RPOs with Mac Jones. He's one of the best quarterbacks to do so in college history, and we just don't do it at all with him. Marry those two together, and let's see what we have with Mac Jones then. No reason to switch things up and sell the house and really prevent yourself from making your entire roster better by bringing in a guy that, quite frankly, the Patriots have never really utilized. The Patriots have never truly utilized the type of quarterback that Lamar is. The closest we've had to that was who? Cam Newton, who the Patriots had 1 year, who they went to last minute because they realized that Jarrett Stidham was not a smart option at starting quarterback for an entire season. And then the Patriots go ahead and draft Mac Jones a year later, not even a year later, a few months later, and Cam Newton gets beat out by a rookie quarterback who hasn't even played a single snap in the NFL yet. The closest thing, other than Cam Newton, was Jacoby Brissett, who the Patriots traded, a year after he was drafted to bring on Philip Dorsett. The Patriots have a certain quarterback they are trying to build around and a certain type of quarterback that has worked within the system that they are trying to build. The Patriots drafted Mac Jones 15th overall 2 years ago. They drafted Bailey Zappi in the 4th round 1 year ago. And you're saying, forget about those 2 draft picks that are high-quality draft picks to bring on Lamar Jackson, who does not fit this system, fit this scheme, and is going to give you a contract that prevents you from making any other logical moves everywhere else around your around your roster. That's not Belichick. And we were lucky enough to have Tom Brady, who took pay cut after pay cut after pay cut. I'm pretty sure he made more with the Buccaneers than he did throughout his tenure with the Patriots. That says something. And that's why the Patriots were able to be so good, because they had a best quarterback in the league for such a minimal price that let them build pieces around there. The thing with Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi is that you have to see what you have with them first. And I guarantee you that Belichick's going to sit back and say the same thing. Belichick wants to see what he has in these players. Mac Jones is heading into his 3rd year. Bailey Zappe's heading into his 2nd year. That year 3 leap is very important for quarterbacks. And how many quarterbacks have we seen take that year 3 leap that we were questioning before? Go ahead, think about it. Jalen Hurts, year 3 gets A.J. Brown. Tua gets Tyreek in his 3rd year. His 5th year option was just picked up, whether you think he's worth it or not. We can go on and on talking about quarterbacks who took that year 3 leap because they were given the help to make a year 3 leap. And you can say what you want about Mac Jones at the end of the day, but if you are basing who Mac Jones is going to be for this team based off of last year, you do not deserve to be a Patriots fan, and you do not deserve to be here when Mac Jones performs as a top 10 quarterback next year. You heard that right. That's my prediction right now. Am I saying it's going to be top 5? No. But Mac Jones will finish as a top 10 quarterback next year. Whether that's 9 or 10, that's my prediction because he finished as a fringe statistical top 10 quarterback in 2021 when everybody thought he was the future. But now everybody else is streaming for Zappe or Lamar now because it's a hot name because of how Mac Jones performed in 2022. When you look at the fact that the entire offense took a step back last year because you had a defensive coordinator as your offensive coordinator. A guy who shouldn't have been in that position was put in that position. And the fact that other coaches around the league talked out about Matt Patricia, saying that they're not scared of him and they can clearly see that this is a defensive mind running an offense, should tell you everything it needs to about Mac Jones and that this was not his fault. So how about we scratch 2022, because I know some of you are doing it for some players, but not for Mac, which makes no sense. Scratch 2022. Let's look at what he did in 2021 and build upon that now that he has a real offensive corner that can come in and work with him and better weapons. Yes, believe it or not, better weapons this year than Mac had in 2021. And if Mac is not the answer at the end of this season, then we can talk. But for you to try to justify bringing on Lamar because of what Mac Jones did last year is absolutely bizarre. And anybody who makes that take, you're just making yourself look stupid, and you do not deserve to be a Patriots fan. But that's kind of my thoughts here on Lamar Jackson. Nothing against him as a person. I love Lamar. I think he's a great person. I think that he's a terrible agent, and he should not be negotiating himself contracts because he does not know what he's doing right now. And I just don't know if he's going to get a bigger contract than what the Ravens already offered him. And if he does, I promise you it's not going to be from the Patriots. But what are your guys' thoughts on this whole situation? Let me know in the comment section below. Remember to leave a big like on this video, and of course, subscribe to the channel for all of your New England Patriots news, thoughts, and opinions. I do appreciate you guys for watching, especially if you watched all 23 minutes of this. Without further ado, never forget,